Good afternoon.
Oh.
Yep. Here we go.
It's that post.
Negative, nothing further. Just take care of me on the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, February 26th, 2026. We are roll call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. I'm here with AC, Tyrone, D, Will, Rich, Jerry, Derek, Cheech, Jamel, Jim joined us, and Mark. We are roll call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. Before we get started, we're going to have a moment of silence. Introduction with our moment of silence.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
All right. Amazing grades. Thank you so much for that, D. We want to get started with our disclaimer. I'm sure Cheech is ready, and we'll have Rich do our statement of purpose.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us or watching us later because we are having some technical difficulties today. We apologize. Before we get started, we wanted to let you know that the comments made by members of Roll Call are their own. Excuse me. The comments and express concerns made by members and guests of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They are not intended to be any type of legal advice, suggestion. Remember that the laws change from state to state, city to city. So check with your local police department, with a local attorney for any legal advice. Also, we do display videos that may be graphic in nature. We use these to spark our conversations. Please do not take offense to it. A member of Roll Call will let you know if any of these videos may be graphic. The videos are not the property of Roll Call. We get them from Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and or all that type of social media, so you do have access to them. Also, the language used by our members is very spontaneous. Everybody here speaks from the heart. We don't hold back. So don't take offense to it. We don't. You might see that we don't agree on some things, but we never take it personal. So we hope that you don't. Thank you. Rich?
Thank you, Teach. Once again, we are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We are a pro-law enforcement group. We are against racism, but for equitable policing, and Black and Brown Lives Matter. We come to you every week in an attempt to bridge the gap between law enforcement and your community. Thank you for being here.
Thank you both, Cheech and Rich, for the disclaimer and the statement of purpose. Let me start off by saying happy belated anniversary again to Mark and Dawn. Also, I think on the 24th was Cree's birthday, Mark?
Yes. Thanks.
Yep,
Thanks
so
both.
February 24th was Cree's birthday, so we want to say happy birthday to Cree. That's Mark's daughter. And tomorrow is my goddaughter's birthday, who is Derek's daughter, Maya Williams. Her birthday is tomorrow. We're going to say happy birthday to Maya.
Happy
And
birthday.
happy birthday to our very own tomorrow. Reverend Larry Camp's birthday is tomorrow as well. So we're going to say happy birthday to him. We're praying for Derek and Deirdre, Cheech and Anna, JT and Orlando, and this is our last show during Black History Month. So, but for doing Black History Month, but we know Black History is all year long. All right, so on the month that they gave us, we'll hold on to that. All right, Jerry, you're crazy. Look, what'd you call her, Derek? Christy Love.
Christy Love.
All right. Well, listen. Today we're gonna shift a little bit. We're gonna let Will Quick lead us in our conversation and our discussion. And so, Will, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I know this is going to be on what we call tape delay, but just to let our listeners know, we do appreciate you all each and every week, and we're sorry we're not coming to you live, but now it gives you the opportunity to actually watch it in your own time and not have to relegate to our schedule. So we really appreciate it. And if you got any comments after watching this one that you want to throw in, we'll keep monitoring that, and we'll definitely chop that up the next go round. I would like to say just a little quick comment about Black History Month. I'm in the midst of planning a family reunion for my family on my mother's side, and we haven't had one in probably 10 years or so. So I looked at the family lineage that they put together, and I can trace my family lineage back to an enslaved man who would be my great-great-grandfather. So that's only 3 generations, you all. And the name that I'm so proud of, my mom married, so I don't have that name, but I have that blood running through me. And I'm very proud of that name, in spite of the fact that it is a name not indicative of my heritage. It's indicative of a history that I can never escape, that my family are descendants of slaves. Someone that didn't look like us thought they had dominion over us and treated us as less than. And we are the only people in the history, to my knowledge, of this entire marble of a world that had to prove in this country that we were human beings and not 3/5 of a human. And so that's just my little soapbox for today. But that being said, we got a lineup for you. Derek, you ready? I'm sorry, D. This D's and Derek's got me messed up.
Yeah, we all
D,
look
you
alike.
ready to
We all
drop
look
the
alike.
first vid?
Yeah, real quick. All right, so we're going to be on tape delay. I'm going to do my best to get this on as quickly as possible. In the future, make sure you subscribe to Roll Call Relations. That'll be an option for us, and we'll try to pop onto that so you can see us live on that. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. That way we'll get some traction. Maybe it'll be easy for us to get on. Our first video is going to take us to Tennessee. Now we all always hear about police misgiving, things that police do bad. They don't understand the fallout. Those of us that have worked, we understand every time something like this happens, every time a video comes out is, and I know for me, 6 to 8 months, we had to live down, every stop, every time you approach somebody, they went to a certain situation that was going on and tried to put you in that. So it becomes difficult for us. Let's take a look in Tennessee Trooper. This trooper, I'll let the video speak for itself. Let's take a look.
In our sobering problem investigation, we have uncovered that 41 DUIs have been dismissed in Bedford County, and every one of those arrests was made by a single trooper with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. It was on this rural street in Bedford County where Ron LaFlamme became number 41.
I was surprised when he started asking me to do a sobriety test.
Not the 41st person to be arrested by Trooper Asa Pearl for DUI, the 41st to have that DUI ultimately dismissed.
It was wrongful arrest and, oh, don't get me going.
In fact, word was getting around Bedford County about Trooper Pearl's DUI dismissal rate.
I know that during the time that Ron's case was making its through the court, Ron's case was not the only one with this particular trooper where blood results were coming back negative.
But finding proof of all those dismissed DUIs wasn't easy. No mention of them in Pearl's personnel file. And so we filed an open records request with the Bedford County Clerk and found these. Dozens of DUI arrests dismissed, all made by Trooper Pearl between 2021 and 2024.
It tells me there was a systemic problem with what he was doing on the side of the road.
Then we obtained this, a spreadsheet put together at our request by the Bedford County DA's office, explaining why each DUI was possibly dismissed. Here's what it shows. In 8 of the cases, including Ron's, the drivers had neither drugs nor alcohol in their system. In 14 other cases, the driver's blood alcohol level was within legal limits and no drugs were found. And that adds up to 22 cases where Pearl arrested someone for DUI and they were sober.
I don't even take prescription drugs. I take 1 vitamin a day.
The other 19 DUIs dismissed are just as confounding. Look, several cases had to be dismissed because Pearl was no longer available for court or couldn't recall the events of the arrest. And we wanted to talk to Pearl about all of this. Why so many sober DUIs on the streets of Bedford County? Why was he not available for court or couldn't remember details? But Pearl never responded to our emails or calls. All his personnel file shows is that in 2024, he resigned from the THP. No reason given. But Pearl is not forgotten in this county, especially by 41 people. Did you get an apology from the officer?
No.
This could happen to your child. This could happen to your parent. This could happen to your coworker.
As we have with every investigation, we reached out to the THP with our findings asking for an interview, but we received no response. And we've also created something for you. We have created this map. It shows all of the police agencies that have made sober DUI arrests, and that's based on public data and cases we've confirmed. And you can find this right now in this story on the WSMV4 app. Lauren?
With this one, according to my screen, looks like AC is up first and then Jim, or do I have that in reverse?
You're right. That's what it looks like.
Okay. AC, what's happening?
I'm sorry. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, or whatever time you're watching. Hello. I do have a problem with people being arrested unlawfully or without valid reasoning. the problem I'm having in this situation is that this costs money. It's not. You can't just say I'm sorry and you go home. You got to pay a lot of money, and by the time it's overturned or it gets resolved, you spent a lot of money and you can't get that back. You talk days at work, reputation, all kind of harm that's compounded. It costs money whenever you get arrested, but especially with DWI, because that's your insurance, your license, a lot of time your livelihood, getting to and from work, taking care of your family, getting your kids to and from school, and it's just to see that it's going on like this in such a concentrated area. This one officer or one trooper, I'm not a DWI expert, so I don't pretend to understand. I understand the concept. I know the different tests they do, but I've never been trained. I'm not an expert on particular things they do. I know you can see and have evidence of DWI without a breathalyzer, without blood, but the idea of all these people not intoxicated being arrested, something's wrong with that. It's a harm to the community.
Totally agree, and it erodes at the validity and the trustworthiness of what we do as law enforcement. I got some points, but we've got several hands up. Let's see if they're going to hit it first. Jim, bring it.
Yeah, everybody here understands this situation on this guy resigning. We all know why he resigned. This is one of those deals, resign before we fire you or charge you. And, we've discussed this on a number of cases. Now this guy will just apply for a job in a police agency somewhere else, and he'll be on his way doing the same stuff. When we all organized this whole Zoom team, these were the issues that we were discussing. I mean, the bad cop issues. How do you solve the blue wall problem? And this kind of thing, allowing someone to resign and go on to another job somewhere and continue that bad behavior. So, I think departments should start to concentrate a lot more on not offering these resign or we'll charge you deals. Really, that's all I have.
Totally understand where your point, Jim, and you're absolutely right. There has to be some sort of filtration process so that individuals like this don't keep getting recycled into a system. And then you just have a compounded issue of us always trying to tread uphill to overcome somebody else's missteps. I think it's Rich, Cheech, then Derek. No, I'm sorry, D, Rich, Cheech, and Derek.
All right, really quick. Let's call a spade a spade. It's Black History Month, so let's call it what it is. It's just wrong. Being a trooper, being out there and making arrests, DWI. You don't stop a person at 10. Stay with me. There's a continuum, right? So you might stop a person from going through a red light or going through a stop sign or speeding. That's where you started from. I think a lot of these, what I'm seeing in policing right now, you're starting from 10. Like the person is guilty, I got to find a reason to put him in jail. That's never the way I did my job. And I know people around the room never did their job that way. As many DWI suspected arrests that I made, probably 10 times more were released and went home. Oh, you just tired, or the slipper slipped on your toe, or whatever the case may be. You never started at 10. You were like, the car did something, now I got to figure out why that's happening. I just want to speak about it in simple terms, not to confuse our public. So I think what happens is we start at, oh, that's a DWI, and then you got to prove that. And that's why these things happen, because there are so many reasons people could appear to be a DWI. And I don't think where law enforcement is now, it's not the continuum up, it's the continuum down. right? So we start high and then we got to prove it because I made the stop. So now it's got to be for what I said it was. And a lot of times, most of us, for whatever reason it was, made stops and it didn't turn out to be the reason we thought it was. And we told the person, listen, be safe, put your seatbelt on, put that that kid in the seatbelt, slow down, stay to the right, don't drive, you know what I mean? All the things we said, have a nice day. And I don't think we're that way now. So I think that's why these things happen. And we talk about 41 cases. I don't want to steal anybody's 41 cases. I know if I'm a Tennessee trooper, that affects everybody in the division, from one part of the state to the other, and probably from state to state, because now everybody's looking with a side eye at everything you say and everything you do. And we got to be careful of that because the job is a decent job if you're believed, right? So you say something, you know, people believe you. You have to back it up with proof, of course. But if everybody starts questioning everything you say, that makes this a difficult job. It makes it the simplest things. It makes it difficult to do, to drive, to investigate accidents, to do homicide investigations, if people aren't believing you. And I think that's where we are. People don't believe it first. And I think we're going to see what happens in the next video. But go ahead. I'm going to save that one, Will.
You make a really good point there, D. The believability. Once upon a time, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that if an officer got up on the stand and swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that no matter what they said, it was taken as gospel. And no matter what evidence was presented to refute what the officer said, it was presumed that the officer was more credible than the other person. You would actually ignore evidence presented from the defense in favor of what the officer said. And that was a systemic problem that is probably a good thing that is starting to change a little bit, starting to hold us accountable for the things and the observations that we put in the report, that they're consistent with what actually happened. Because if no one else has credibility, it shouldn't be something that's just handed to you on a platter. It should be something that is earned, and is earned each and every day. And you don't get a pass on credibility. Rich, what you got?
Yeah, you know, this is disturbing at best. I don't know what the requirements are for that particular jurisdiction, but I mean, there's a process of DWI, DUI, that, I mean, I've done many of these arrests, and I've never lost a conviction on them because it's a thorough process. I don't know what their process is, but I know here in the state of California, I mean, I'm just for the interest of the people that are watching. The process starts with bad driving. The officer sees bad driving, you know, maybe swerving in the lane, what have you. Then you're pulled over because of that bad driving that's observed by the police officer. Then once the police officer gets to your window of your car, if he smells alcohol, right, or you know your eyes are glassy and you look like you might be under the influence, then there's further tests that come out. You know, if you have an open container in the vehicle, they basically the smell of the alcohol or drugs, if possible. Then you're bounced out for sobriety tests. And then once you fill those sobriety tests, then you're arrested. So I don't know how this guy can have all these sober people. Either I don't know if he did tests or not, but sobriety tests they would pass if they were sober, most likely, unless you had a ridiculous test like put your leg around your neck and hold it there for 10 seconds. Then that would be a problem. But so I don't know how their system is. If you just based on the officer's statement, oh, I think you're drunk, so I'm taking you, because that process has to be maintained in order to make a correct arrest. So I find it very disturbing. And I don't know, I did a deeper dive on this particular situation there, that particular agency. They've had several other officers with sober driving arrests as well. So that leads me to believe that on this department, there's a big problem that's not being handled. I mean, this guy, they let him resign, vice being fired, so it takes away that case. But there's other cases where there's sober drivers that are still being arrested by that department. So it's a bad situation. I think some other agency needs to look into that particular agency, for oversight of what they're doing there. And I'm sure something else is going to come out later on in that department. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting you speak about that. In North Carolina, you pretty much have 3 tiers of law enforcement that directly service the public. That's the Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Office across the state, which they have deputies, and then municipalities, which are police officers. And a lot of people say, well, all of you all are badges and guns. Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because in North Carolina, the epitome of law enforcement is represented in the Highway Patrol. Now, the funky thing behind that is, and I don't want to diminish the work that they do, but they are laterally focused or linearly focused on traffic stops and traffic enforcement and crash investigation. That's it. They don't respond to 911 calls as far as taking reports for other criminal incidents. They may come to assist other officers if it's a critical situation. But far and away, the only reports that they really do are crash reports, arrest reports, and citations. That's it. But we'll dig into that a little bit more. We got these other hands up. Cheech.
Yeah, I agree with everybody's points, but I'm looking at this from another angle also. Why did it take so long for that department or the local DA to see this pattern? Will, you brought something up about credibility. Once they saw that you're not available for court or you can't recall the details of that stop, your credibility's out the window. So now you should start questioning his cases. So why did it take so long to get there? And then, this is perjury, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're writing this up and none of this is true. I mean, any other civilian could get arrested right away for perjury. Why wasn't he arrested? That's what I'm looking at. Is it took way too long for them to see it. And if you're saying that you look deeper in, Rich, and that this department looks like they have a pattern, maybe it's one of them departments that have nothing else to do and they're just trying to make work for themselves. That's all I got.
And you make a good point, Cheech. My understanding about perjury is it has to take place under sworn testimony. So unless he's on the stand and he perjures himself there, as far as filing a false report, that's going to be under a different guise. But you're absolutely right. Between the supervisor phase where they review reports and the DA's office, somebody should have caught that trend a long time ago and addressed it either with that individual officer or it sounds like potentially within that agency. But there again, we're talking about troopers. I presume that Highway Patrolmen, they function in much the same way they do in North Carolina. I can't say with absolute certainty, but the process of doing a DWI investigation has a number of sobriety tests. And what you're looking for, as we all know, clues for impairment. Now, the way we're taught here is if you're going to use the roadside portable breath test, which actually gives you an alcohol concentration reading, you typically will issue that first, go into your field sobriety test as far as the actual motor skills test and cognitive test, and then do the portable breath test again. And the gathering of all of that information should help to determine whether or not you're dealing with an impaired driver. Now, it doesn't require you to be at a 0.08 to be impaired because alcohol affects people differently. If you got someone inexperienced drinking, it won't take them to get to a 0.08 for them to be impaired driving. But you wouldn't know that if the only thing you're relying on is the portable breath test. And for a lot of officers that put too much stock in that portable breath test, if it's not quite at that .08 roadside, then their mindset is, oh, well, you must be on your way up, so I'm going to go ahead and arrest you anyway, because by the time we get there to do the actual intoximeter, you'll be where I need you to be. But then it doesn't show up as a .08 there, and you don't have any other roadside test. Kind of screwed now. Derek, what's on your mind?
You're on mute, Derek. Unmute. Unmute yourself, big guy. There you go.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said so far. And Jerry, you asked a question that would there be a pattern or something like that? And yes. And I'd first like to start by saying, obviously, you can't have this many false arrests without there being pretextual stops. Not because you saw somebody do something wrong, not because you saw somebody put a wheel or two over a line, you're pretextually stopping people. You're stopping people because you want them to be drunk, or you're hoping they're drunk, or you're going to make them drunk. And obviously, pretextual stops are dangerous, and subjectivity is dangerous as well. And that's when we get to the point where you're doing the sobriety tests other than the breathalyzer, where you're telling people, well, your eyes are glossed over, your speech is slurred. I've seen videos where cops are accusing people of having slurred speech, and the person's speech is just as clear as yours and mine. And if you've never met someone in your life, maybe they talk a little slower than you do, but that doesn't mean their speech is necessarily slurred. This is a top-down thing. It's top-down. Activity is recorded in most departments. It's recorded week to week, month to month, year to year. So every supervisor knows what each of his cops are doing. They all know it. You know who your heavy hitters are, and you know the things that they go after and the things that they're known for, and so do the other cops. Everybody knows it. And when you have a guy bringing in this many DWIs as a supervisor, that's something you should kind of look into. And oddly enough, supervisors may look into it, but some supervisors will go to other cops and say, well, this guy has so many DWIs last month, how come you're not getting any? And instead of them saying, this guy has an inordinate amount of DWIs, maybe something's wrong, maybe something's not right, they try to sometimes pressure other cops into bumping their numbers up too. And recently, it's come out that the state of Tennessee has had an inordinate number of DWIs and an inordinate number of people that have been innocent, and that's in the entire state. So it's really interesting, but it's top down, and it's not only criminal behavior, it's a violation of civil rights also. So a pretextual stop is a violation of someone's civil rights because you didn't really have probable cause to pull them over, or you didn't even really have reasonable suspicion to even deal with them in the first place. And then unlawfully arresting someone is a crime. So there's a lot of criminal behavior going on, and the supervisors are letting it skate. If I'm the supervisor on the desk and I see the same person bringing in people for DWIs all the time, and when they get in front of me, they look like they're okay, we're going to have a talk, and he's going to stop it. He's going to stop it. And if he doesn't stop it, the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at their breathalyzer, and if the breathalyzer doesn't add up, then he's going to stop it, or he's going to be written up, and then we'll figure it out from there. But supervision has to step in and step up instead of being in admiration of what a person's doing when they may be doing wrong or are likely doing wrong.
Still a lot of people out there that believe that we have quotas, and in a manner of speaking, it's not like we leave out and they say, well, I need you to get this many numbers. But let's use Don, for example. We all know Don loves traffic. And if you looked at Don's numbers on his shift, unless he was on a designated traffic squad, his numbers probably skewed the numbers on the high side. And let's say, take for instance, someone like me who doesn't write a lot of citations, I'm on the low side. So somebody's going to start questioning me. Well, I've got this guy that's doing this many. I don't expect you to do that, but I need for you to be moving close to the average. Otherwise, I'm going to be questioning what are you doing with your time while you're here. And this is probably doesn't sound like that sort of situation because, again, with troopers, their only functions are traffic enforcement and crash investigation. Ty, I saw you waving your finger.
Yeah, I just want to say real fast that I don't know a lot, but I know this. 19 people not even impaired is a problem, bro. 19, not 4, 19, almost half of people he stopped was bullshit. That's a problem, man. That's a problem.
Exactly. D.
All right, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but you said it again. So I guess we got people watching that don't understand law enforcement. Okay.
Yeah.
The assumption is that troopers write tickets and do accident reports. That's the assumption.
Okay, trooper.
I'm here to tell you. I was writing tickets on Friday. I got promoted. I was writing tickets on Thursday, got promoted on Friday, and I was investigating homicide on Monday. So stop it. That's not the way it works. All right. No. You said it. Let me finish.
Okay.
Highways.
Yeah.
But remember, my point of reference is for the troopers here in North Carolina.
Right. That's what I want to explain. They got highway patrol, which I've always had a problem with that word in other states, not here in New York, but in other states, because that's the assumption. And we have to be careful because if you looked at on this report, where he was making these stops had nothing to do with a highway. Had nothing to do with it was a back country road in Tennessee. So a lot of times people will hear something and then they're looking to get out of something and they'll say, oh, you can't do this because of this. So I want to be very careful to understand when you're in law enforcement in different places, we can't have these hard and fast rules, right? So we have to respect law enforcement because we kind of don't know. You were talking about Don was writing a ticket, then he was a detective. He had a different, you understand? So it's the two things don't come into play. So we can't have those hard and fast rules because that becomes dangerous. We're going to see in the next video.
Right.
That becomes very, very
speaking
dangerous.
From my point of reference here in North Carolina. So everybody, because there's some places the state police are called the state police and they do all the functions. But then in a lot of states, and I think maybe this might be something more down in the South, I'm not sure. But if you are state highway patrol or state troopers, your predominant function is traffic enforcement and crash investigation. But again, that can vary from one state to the next.
Hey,
Mark, I see your hand.
Mark, can I say something real fast, Mark, before you go? If I'm wrong, correct me, D-School, but many cities, hamlets, towns, and villages in New York State where the state police is the entire police department.
The only police.
Is that correct? The primary, well, I should say primary police department. Thank you, AC. Is that right, D-Schooner?
Yep.
But North Carolina isn't like that, bro. He's right. North Carolina ain't like that.
Well, North Carolina's not like that because if you have an area that is a small and you got a bunch of small towns that can't financially afford municipal law enforcement, then the sheriff is responsible because every county in this state has an elected sheriff. So there's at least going to be one law enforcement agency in every county.
Right.
What's up, Mark?
So after seeing these Schoon's hat spinning around a few times, I was wondering when he was going to say something. We in Hempstead had a problem in an area, and the state police were very willing to come in and help us on patrol and stuff like that. Some of you guys probably don't even know state recognized reservations. The state police will come in and they'll do, if they don't have their own tribal police, the state police will enforce the laws. So they do a lot more up here than say in North Carolina. So I understand that's a regional thing, Will. But they do a lot. They help us in homicides. They help us definitely with
Task
manpower.
force.
Huh?
Task force.
Task force, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's definitely a regional thing. I just wanted to throw that in there, but I just got a chuckle out of seeing my man D
School's
trying
hat
to
explode.
spinning around in that chair.
You know, ordinarily my screen would start lighting up. Okay, you got one turning red, you got one turning hot.
But you know, California is what we're talking about as far as highway patrol. It's always about highway safety. So they don't do anything other than writing tickets, accidents, keeping the highway safe, and sometimes they're involved in pursuits. Other than that, that's their main focus. So here in California, they just do that. And that's all they do. So that's the difference from what D is doing. You know, D's doing everything, and these guys only do that. And I tell you, this agency is known for actually pulling cops over and writing them tickets. So there's no professional courtesy that you try to get because you're a police officer. I watched them take a guy that down to his station. You know, active police officer to his station, to his watch commander. That's how they are, and they've been known for that. So it's a little different here.
Poncherello did a great job.
Yeah. Really? That's what we're doing. D, is yours? Are you guys called state police or state patrol or what?
Okay, so the division of state police is called state police. It's not highway patrol. It's not, but they're the members from when you first start all the way up to Anna troopers. So it's but in designation in the CPL they're police officers. So it's just a name thing. It has nothing to do with anything else other than what.
I mean, there is some validity in the name, because when you say police, it does lend itself to suggest that you do things other than motor vehicle related enforcement or investigation.
Let me do a quick. I'm sorry, Mark. I know your hand's up. Let me do a quick class for you, so you understand what the difference in policing is. So you just quickly. So the state police, there's three. We're doing government now, right? 3 branches of government, right? The executive, the judicial, and the legislative, right? Most police fall under the judicial part. That's what they do. The state police is different. That's why we don't wear badges as you see here in New York.
That's right.
Because we fall under the governor executive branch. So it's a whole different branch of governor. Policing, all that's the same. In some places, I know the state police fall under the judicial. It's just a state by state thing. So you got to understand the way the government works. These police officers for the governor. So you understand why would they have a whole different police force? Because when the governor wants something done, he has to wave his finger and point, and it happens. You understand? If he wants a homicide investigation done, he points his finger, and that's what they do. I don't care. And I know when I was working in New York City, Hempstead, Nassau County, I worked in all these people would say, "You're a New York State trooper. You can't do this." And I used to ask them a question and think to yourself, when did they move out of New York?
Exactly.
When did that happen? But the mindset, that's why I say we got to be careful with language. The mindset is, and now there are people like, I don't have to stop for him. What? Did they move? I said, I'm sorry, Mark.
And like I said at the beginning, sometimes we don't agree with each other, but we never take it personal.
we all still learning stuff.
Oh, and this is mild compared to what
I have an
can be.
issue with he.
And state to state, Will, what you always talk about, things change. But back to the video, I would assume that this guy was just making overtime. He was locking people up, doing it for the overtime, and he couldn't back up his things. And I definitely agree with Derek on somebody in supervision should have peeped that out a long time ago. Because when you don't, that's when it costs the municipality even more money than they wish to pay out.
And they made
because it's such a large liability. And the saddest thing dealing with the public is this can cost people marriages, jobs, change their whole lives, lose respect for their kids who have to deal with their parent getting locked up and the car taken away. And this is a life-changing thing with DWI. That's why it's very important that you have officers that are out there doing their job. Any type of arrest, not just DWIs, but any type of arrest can alter somebody's life so drastically. It's just unfathomable.
19's a lot, bro.
Right, you're right, Jim. You have
Yeah,
another
no,
thought.
I just want to back up what Mark was saying, and everybody else too, that this officer's behavior is certainly obvious to supervisors. But knowing the district attorney's office like I do, and Kyle, I'm sure she would back me up, that when an officer's arrests keep getting thrown out, those guys do not hesitate to call the chief.
Yeah, that's
Because they're, having their, conviction record, ruined is huge to prosecution officers. And so I can guarantee you, I don't care what jurisdiction that was in, that chief of police of that department,
You got a
either
phone
through his
call.
supervisors
Yep.
or certainly through the DA's office,
Got a
have
phone
said,
call.
hey, check this guy out. All his arrests, we got to throw them all out. They're terrible.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we got this one last hand with Cheech, and then we're gonna move on to the next video.
I just wanted to add to what Jim said, and it taints other cases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
totally. Mark,
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Jim, I don't know if that's true or not, Jim. I've seen other jurisdictions where the police and the district attorney's office, they don't get along.
Yeah.
They have an adversarial, working relationship, and there's not a lot of communication. And if it is, it's only on a need to know basis. So I that was true for us up in New York. But I wouldn't be that quick to say it's everywhere.
I'd say I disagree with you totally, because just what you're saying, they would love to call the police to tell them that your cops are screwing up. So even an adversarial situation, the prosecutor wouldn't be able to hold back that, hey, your cops are screwing up over here. So I still stand fast and say, I think DA's offices, no matter what their relationship was, would call the department on that cop.
Well, I'll tell
for their own good. For the good.
I'll tell you this. There was a situation in Hempstead that I became aware of. Okay, and I was a lieutenant then, not because we got a phone call, but because I happened to overhear the ADAs in the next room talking about it. And because of that is where I got the name Vietnam from, because then I started having officers go over their paperwork with a fine-tooth comb, and they didn't realize I was doing it for them, because the DAs were sitting there like, these guys are getting paid how much money, and
it's trash.
This stuff is garbage.
It's
And
trash.
I heard it.
bring up,
And I
both
heard
you
it.
fellas.
I heard it, and all of a sudden, that's something I took on myself to correct. So even in New York, that's not always true. Sometimes they don't bother. But go ahead.
You fellas bring up a good point that we could actually do a deeper dive on with regards to how that relationship works between the DA's office and the police departments or law enforcement, because that's a whole nother issue all by itself. And once again, the variations from state to state. But I think we're ready to move on to the next video, D.
Yep. This is what happens. So we watched the first video. That thing happens with a law enforcement officer in Tennessee, a trooper in Tennessee. And now we come to New York City. And let's pay careful attention to, it's probably all over the news. People have seen it. The police go to answer a call about a crowd situation. And this is what they're met with. Let's take a look.
It's gonna be inside the playground. I ain't do nothing. Come on. Don't touch me.
That's crazy.
I got a lot of questions about this, but I'm gonna reserve mine until we get some of these other hands. I believe Derek's hand is up first, then Cheech, then D.
I was saying Cheech was actually up first.
Okay, I'm sorry. Cheech.
Yep.
Okay,
thanks,
so
Eric. You know, there's more to this. I'm sure everybody heard the mayor saying that this was just a snowball fight. I didn't see any officers throwing snowballs back. So how is it a fight? There's nothing going back and forth. And saying that these were just kids having fun, no, you're losing respect for the officers there. You know, and if it is kids, then as they, you know, what kind of respect that they're showing now are they going to have in the future for officers? You know, this is ridiculous, and I do not agree with what the mayor said. You know, I'm sure if his details out there and he's coming out of his mansion and gets hit with one of those snowballs in a fight, gets hit by a snowball by someone out there, I'm sure that person is going to be taken down quick and get arrested. You know, so I don't see how he called this a snowball fight. I you know, let him get hit with something like that. And I'm sure some of those were more like ice balls and not snowballs. This was not community policing where it's a bunch of little, 7 and 8 year old kids that you're just having fun with. This was an attack on police, and that should not have happened, and it shouldn't be tolerated.
Well taken, Cheech. Point well taken. Derek, what's on your mind?
This one of the things that made this interesting is for those of us that were born, raised, and lived in New York most, if not all of our lives, it snows every year. And most years you get a horrific amount of snow. I've never seen anything like this happen in the snow. But I think there's a double-edged sword here. I think that because of what people have seen ICE doing to people, the hate for law enforcement is at an all-time high. And I think these people knew that there were just too many of them out there for them to be arrested. I will say that about 2 or 3 summers ago, what was occurring was a heck of a lot worse. And it was on the news, and there were cops that were responding to different things, and people were literally walking up to them, dumping 5-gallon buckets of water on them in full uniform. Now, and it wasn't a crowd of 200 people. This is like one person holding a bucket of water, dumping it over the cop's head, the cops in full uniform. Now, this snowball thing, obviously not what you desire if you're the cop there in uniform. But if it's me and there's 200 people out there, especially if I'm the supervisor, I'm like, let's get in the vehicles, let's get out of here. Let them have their snowball fight. This was supposedly a sanctioned snowball fight at Washington Square Park. There's no need for the police to be there. Let them have their snowball fight. We don't want to be involved in it. I damn sure don't want to keep getting hit in the face and head with snow. Let's get out of there. But to me, the thing that was happening with the buckets of water getting dumped on the cops a couple of summers ago, that was worse. So that's all I have.
I'm feeling you 110% on that. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and get these hands first. I think D, you're up next.
Yeah. Thank you, Derek, for saying that. Most of us that served our community in here in New York can understand how that incident can be. It could have been a lot worse. Now, I'm in Nassau County, New York, and we just got hit with some pretty bad snow. And let me tell you about this snow, because I spent 2 days out in the snow. I actually went out this morning and had to deal with the snow. This snow is dangerous, guys. The snow, moving it out of my driveway is dangerous. And my snow blower's hurting. I can't lift. If y'all notice, I can't lift my left arm right now. It's dangerous out there. Put me down for the rest of the week. The snow, I'm dead serious. And it's the second time this year that we've gotten this snow. When I say it's dangerous, it's heavy, it's wet, and it's so cold. I want you to understand, heavy, wet turns to ice. So those snowballs that were being thrown are not, it's not cute. Little, those of you that live in Tennessee and North Carolina, you think, oh, it's just snow. No, that can kill you. So I look at that, and these kids, they thought it was fun. And let's do this to these police officers. But I think to myself, I'm trying to serve my community. I'm answering the call. Understand, they didn't just show up and wanted to break up the snowball fight. We don't care about a daggone snowball fight. Y'all snowball fight each other to death. Do what you want to do. But when somebody calls and says, I need the police, and I need them here because the snowball fight is turning into something else, they have to show up. And then when they're met with this, I want you to think tremendous amount of restraint. All of those cops, all of them, tremendous amount of restraint. I don't know if I'm that restrained. You hit me in the head with a snowball, and we saw in some of the police officers' top gear had snowballs. And if it's a piece of ice and it hits my soft hat, my reaction is gonna be a little different. I got folk to get home to. Y'all are having fun. So I wanted to say that because we say snowball and then we go and have a conversation. This stuff is dangerous, man. This stuff, and it's hanging around and it's still here. We still have snow under the 2 feet that we just got. A foot of snow, a foot of ice snow that's been here for 3 weeks. That's what they were throwing. If you see when the boulders went out of they didn't break up when they hit the ground. Did you notice that? They're not going. Imagine getting hit with that in the back of the head, in the side of the head. Those of you where my martial arts people get hit about right here. You got a whole nother situation. I know it's fun, kids. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, rah rah. Nice video moment. But I want you to think of hitting one of those guys right here with one of those pieces of ice. And then we got to go to the cameras and we got to come get you. And then you're saying what? I was just having fun. One of my classes, and I'm going to end with this. I say to kids, you were having a good time till you weren't. It's a lot of fun till it ain't fun no more. We got to stop taking fun to the level that it could hurt somebody. You want to have snowball fights with each other? Go back in the park and throw snow at each other. But these law enforcement, these guys don't. I was just embarrassed as a human being to see that. These are the guys that protect you against something that's going to hurt you. And this is the way you want to treat them. And that's because of the first video we saw. I'm done.
I feel you, D. I feel you. Jim.
Yeah, I'm going to talk politically. This is another defund the police moment. I can't tell you how many hours a day I spend trying to defend the party, the Democratic Party, that we are not anti-police. We're not pro-criminal. I do it every day, all day. It gets harder and harder to do. And then I have the mayor of New York City saying it's just a snowball fight. Well, the police commissioner is saying that she's going to investigate and maybe prosecute. And the mayor is saying it's just a snowball fight. I'm beating my head against the wall. I know this isn't the forum for that speech, but it's getting more. This is going, trust me when I tell you this, this will be the next defund the police sign that you'll see. And we just handed it to them. And the mayor of New York City handed it to them that this is the way we think of our police, letting them get humiliated, injured. I don't, sometimes I just get so frustrated. I want to throw my hands up. That's all I have.
Jamel, you're up.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No tape delay. You gonna pass?
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
All right. Listen. All right. Hey, listen. You know, it was tough to see those officers display a lot of restraint. You know, I'm glad they did. You know, because it could have went many different ways. But those guys stood strong. They had a lot of restraint. But you know, the image on the 6 o'clock news that New York City families are watching these officers getting humiliated and insulted with snow. I mean, one would only think, well, my God, if the police are taking this kind of abuse from the public, you know, well, what chance do I stand with being defended by these officers? So that was a bad look. I hope that the police commissioner would go through with the investigation to at least get somebody responsible for the assault on these officers, because that's the mayor. His message is definitely the wrong message, where he's saying that it was just a snowball fight. These individuals should not be prosecuted. But no, I mean, look, these officers day in, day out, protecting the lives of individuals here in New York City. Listen, they shouldn't be joked with or be the brunt of some prank. That's just not, the way we should be operating with our law enforcement officers here. So I hope they do go forward with an investigation, and I hope that some individuals will be apprehended. Thanks a lot, guys.
Your turn.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't hear the first part. To the public, why would you want to antagonize somebody with a gun? I just don't get it. You talk about police brutality, but you're going to antagonize them, be it with snowballs, and Derek is 100% right, with the water a few years ago, or even with your phones, sticking your phones, shoving your phones in officers' faces while they're working. It's just like, what do you expect? It doesn't make sense that if you want your neighborhood to be safe, it starts with you. You need to help the police, not make them enemies. It's not, it doesn't always, we get paid to do a job, but we also need the community. And we've said this before, we've covered this before. And if you want a good police department, you're going to need a good community relationship. And it works both ways, not just one. You can't just keep sticking it on the cops. You guys do this, you guys do that. But look what's happening. My grandson went to the mall with one of his friends, and I told his mother, listen, you see what's going on with these kids wilding at the malls. Even if you're not involved, you may look like you're involved, and you may get snatched up as a group. So when stuff starts going on, you got to go the other way. You got to put your head on a swivel. You got to be aware of what's going on around you, and you got to react that way. As far as the mayor, it'll never happen. But put a uniform on and go out there before you have a comment about how police work is done. And you may see things differently. I lost a lot of respect for the mayor with his comment with that. That's all.
Very valid point. Very valid. Rich, what's on your mind?
Yeah, just as a real quick, in a situation like that, it's tough to watch where the police are actually there in full force and they actually lose control of the scene. My thing has always been about scene control. So, I mean, if the roles were reversed, we've never had that problem here in California. But if the roles were reversed, I think there should be a dispersal order given, okay, to the crowd, because they've lost control at that point. And the crowd is wilding and blocking the police cars. The sirens are going, and they're even getting more hyped up. They should have done a dispersal order, and they should have done a warning that anyone in the street will be arrested based on a ticket, because you get an NTA for a notice to appear based on leaving a place of safety and being in the street here. So at that point, taking ice balls, because basically it's ice balls, and an ice ball can take out an eye. Those officers should not be susceptible to that and allow that to continue. I would have nipped it in the bud. A supervisor should have come out there and said, we're doing this right now. This is going to stop. Regardless of what the mayor thinks it's fun, kids having fun and throwing snowballs. Like you said, it's no snowball fight. These officers are taking hits, okay? And they really, I got to tip my hat to them that they didn't, use any heavy enforcement and fight back. But they should have taken some tactics to clear the area, to arrest anybody hanging out, blocking police vehicles. And I think that would have calmed everything down at that point and gotten some kind of control of the public at that point. It's just tough to see cops taking heavies and not being able to do anything about it. But I don't know how New York is. Can you do a dispersal order? I mean, Derek, can you just say over the PA, leave the area? we'll be arresting anybody in the street. Can you do that?
Did you see how many kids were out there, though? I mean, you had a mob out there. Plus, and let me just say this real quick, and then I not to cut you off, Derek, but as a police department or as police officers, if you don't feel that you have the backing of these politicians and you get a mayor that's saying, oh, it's just a snowball fight, are you really going to be try to be overzealous as far as doing your job? Are you going to do your job the way you're supposed to, knowing that you might be looked upon as the bad guy and not protecting yourself and protecting other officers? Once you lose that confidence in your superiors and in the politicians, it's a wrap. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Derek. Go ahead.
No, before Derek goes up, let me finish my statement real quick, Derek, before you go. I'm not talking about the political stance on this from the mayor, because in the moment, I'm saying tactics taken by the police in the moment, not to do some kind of excessive force, but to actually control the scene by putting tactics in place to clear. I don't care how many kids there are. Once you make an announcement over the PA that they have to disperse, it's illegal for them to do what they're doing, and anybody in the street will be arrested. I think that'll probably clear things out. I don't care how many. And you start, and then start.
Can I ask for someone to offer a point of context real quick?
Yeah, Rich, you've been out of New York a long time, Rich.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna tell you right now, you got 200 or 300 people out there, and you got 3 van loads of cops. They don't give a shit. They don't care. Now, the tool that you have as a police officer or a police supervisor, you can call for what's called a mobilization. So the first level is a level 1 mobilization, and the level 1 mobilization is going to go out over the radio, and all the cops in the surrounding precincts, you're going to let them know where you need it. All the cops in the surrounding precincts are going to abandon patrol. They're going to get their helmets and their batons, and they're going to come to where you are. So now you're going to end up with, at least 3 figures in cops there. That's going to, with all that snow on the ground, that's going to take a minute. In good weather, you might have those people there within 15, 20 minutes. But with all that snow on the ground, they have to leave patrol, go back to the command, get their helmets, go back to their cars, drive to where you are. Listen, personally, you got that many people out there, the safest place for those cops is back in the vehicle. And if people want to surround the vehicle, let them surround the vehicle. Go ahead, Will.
I'm in North Carolina, so I need some context about this because this is what's missing. What was the complaint in the 911 call? Does anyone know?
That was my question was, and that's what I was trying to get to it before you got there. But my thing was like, if it was a sanctioned snowball fight, right? Sanctioned snowball fight. So that means they got permission to have this snowball fight somewhere.
In that area, exactly.
So because Joe Citizen calls, what was their complaint? That they're throwing snow? They're at a snowball fight. Of course,
what was the crime? Because I heard someone say control the scene, suggesting that there's a crime. Right. What was a crime that was taking place that caused a group of police officers, a small group, to
residents
completely ignore tactics and walk into a crowd, not being aware of what the current climate was, the fact that you're not actually investigating a reported crime for an event that was already planned in a public park that was not reported to have been disrupting traffic. No one had been reported to been injured. There was no assault. So from my perspective, from a tactics standpoint, I'm approaching and standing on the outside monitoring. Now, if the crowd decides to come at me, that's different. Right. But these guys were in the middle of the crowd, had walked from their vehicles, the only protection that they had, and then walked back. You've already escalated this by introducing yourself into a situation where there was no crime to even investigate to begin with, unless someone knows something I don't.
And you know what? I think the primary complaint was whoever called, it was one of those discomfort things. I don't like what's going on.
Right.
And if they were uncomfortable, they should have left the park.
Exactly.
You know that this event is going on there and you don't want to be down with it, leave.
Go.
Leave. And I don't think the cops ever should have walked through there like that.
Nope.
Because that's dangerous and you made yourself a target. And once one person starts throwing stuff at you,
it's done.
Everybody's going to throw stuff at
You
you.
make a point, Derek. Wait. Derek, what'd you just say? Once you walk in there, you make yourself a target. It wasn't a few weeks ago, and we spoke about Homeland Security guy who made himself a target in front of that car and shot that lady.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be smart in this job and recognize how you're needed in that position. What is your officer safety options? Is there a crime actually taking place? If you put yourself in that situation, I agree. I'm not a fan of what they did with those officers, but being aware of the climate where we are in New York, because all of this took place before the mayor said what he said.
Right.
I'm gonna be on the outskirts watching. And if I don't see a crime taking place, I'm not going to introduce myself into it. If they come to me, the first one I see throwing overhand, that's going to be the one to get snatched up and made an example out of. And now I can articulate, I was observing the crowd. They were having fun in a public space. And one decided to turn their focus to me and threw a snowball at me without provocation. Yes, that's an assault on a law enforcement officer because I wasn't actively participating. But that's the part that's missing with the 911 call and the context that I was having a problem with, because no one had mentioned about the tax associated with it. Those guys walk from inside the crowd. When do we do that? The only reason you go into the crowd is if there's an actual act that needs to take place.
But well, I think you missed that because Derek said that when he first started commenting on it. That's what made me write. That's what made me write it down.
Okay.
I didn't know that it was a sanctioned snowball fight. I didn't know that. I'm hearing that now, but I did not know that. And so in my mind, I'm like, they are losing their minds throwing these snowballs at these police officers. I mean, even if it's sanctioned, it's still wrong. I'm not going to justify that. It's wrong, period. But the police did not have to be there for a sanctioned event. I don't even know. Somebody called them, and because somebody called, they're going to come there. Now they're going to break up everything. But it could have been it could have been just someone who just was annoyed the fact that snow was being thrown.
Exactly, Donald.
I don't know too many people that are happy in being in the atmosphere of a snowball fight. I just don't know too many people.
They were dispatched there, though.
They were. That
was my point. That's still my point.
Exactly.
That somebody inside there, or maybe from the outside, looking from the apartment building or whatever, got upset that they're throwing snowballs and nothing's being done about it. And they were probably as ignorant as I am about the thing, not knowing that it was a sanctioned snowball fight event. You know?
Yeah, I didn't know either.
And you know what? I don't care that it was sanctioned because they threw a snowball and they broke the windshield on my car, so I called the police. I'm just saying.
So can I go?
You have a crime there, Jerry. Okay, we got a hand. Let's get back to the hands. I know I see ties and gems. I don't know which one came up first.
So, Jerry, your point was when you make that phone call, a lot of this falls on the person that took the call.
Dispatcher that picked it up.
Because listen, I'm sorry you're upset with what's going on. This is a sanctioned function for 2 hours in that park. If you're not comfortable with what's going on, please do the city a favor and remove yourself from the situation. Jerry, we're sorry your car was hit by mistake. Unfortunate. Please come down and file a report. We do the best we can to make sure of it. But unfortunately, this is a sanctioned event that was sanctioned by the city of New York, and they're not recruiting any crimes. And unless you can prove that it was done intentionally to break your windshield, it's going to be hard for us to process that.
And because all the snow on the ground, I couldn't move my car away from the sanctioned area.
That's okay. That's okay. And we apologize for that. But somebody said this was a sanctioned event, in a park. Was your car parked in the park?
And the crowd got so big that it expanded and came in the car. I'm just saying.
You ever been to Washington Square Park, Jerry?
You
can't park over there.
We got a finger
right outside of my apartment. Right outside of my apartment.
We're gonna come back to you, Jerry. But let's get.
Well, I want to finish up. Let me finish up. So I want to finish up saying this. So I think the person who received the call could have controlled it from the start. Second of all, the cops that were dispatched there was about 17 cops there in 3 vans.
Yeah, something like that.
Not more than
No,
15
that's for
cops.
sure.
I think there's 330 people there. Rich, I love you, bro, but I ain't saying shit. I'm staying in the van because 315. We good, but we ain't that good.
It didn't make sense to get out, like you said, Ty. I agree.
Man.
Like,
Go
you know,
ahead,
Jim.
like Nagasaki, you know.
Jamel had his hand. Jamel, what was your point?
I just wanted to say to Rich's point that another news media outlet showed a supervisor there, might have been a lieutenant or a captain, who was on a megaphone. And when you see that shot, nobody was throwing any snowballs at this supervisor. So that might have been in another area at Washington Square Park. But yet and still, you had some areas that was being, orderly, and some areas that were just being disorderly. That's it.
Jim.
Yeah, just 3 quick points. Point number 1 is the response.
Oh, you went to mute. You mute yourself.
Point number 1, Jim. Start over.
Okay. Yeah, just 3 quick points. The fact that the responding officers came, whether or not their tactics were good or bad, is an issue. However, they don't know when they get a call to respond to these things exactly who had permission to do what and all that stuff. You know how that goes. Dispatchers get a call and off they go. Disorderly group, hurting each other, whatever the call came in, they felt they needed to respond. They responded. So I don't fault them at all in any of it.
Somebody should have known.
Yes.
Okay. Well, somebody, but not the cop, not the cop that's in the squad car. How many
Yeah, he
times
should
you
have
get
known
it?
too. He should have known.
It should
How-
Because it should have been
how
announced.
so?
It should have been announced at
It's a
roll
roll
call
call.
at the beginning that we have an event being held over
We're
here.
not in disagreement. He should have known, but not on his own volition. What you're
Oh,
saying,
no,
is
not on his
somebody
own.
should have told him. That's what you mean. Somebody
Well, and
should
I'm
have
also-
advised him.
And I'm also saying when it was dispatched, a supervisor should have said, wait a minute, we have a sanctioned event going on over there as
Please
well.
go away.
Somebody should have known if he didn't
Okay.
know.
All right. And I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying the cop that responded, the guy that got the snowballs thrown at him, he didn't know.
He might have.
No, again, we can argue on semantics. That how many calls did you go on and you found out when you got there it wasn't anything you expected?
Can I say
Dozens.
something? Can I say
Lenny.
something to that?
Lenny.
Yeah.
This wasn't a patrol car, just patrol cars. These were vans. So they were sent as a group.
Right.
So there
Okay.
was some knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The second thing, and Mark had said this before, and I want to just agree with him on the officer's response to what was happening is political. There is a political element in that if you don't trust or have the backing of your superiors, and there's nobody higher than the mayor, you're going to react totally differently. You're not going to take some kind of overt action that, even if it's justified, you don't want to take it because you don't want it spun against you in your career. So that's the second point. And the third point, back to politics again, why in God's name the mayor just didn't say it's going to be investigated by the police commissioner, district attorney's office, end the story, next question.
He looks great.
So,
That's
Jim,
perfect.
to your point, the situation, everybody knows the underlying political implications of this mayor as far as the overall big picture, which actually factors into how these officers should have responded or should have considered that in response. But it did not get politicized until after, when the mayor said what he said. So my point being is this: as officers, you're in New York. I know good and damn well that ain't the first snowball fight that officers have responded to in a bunch of people. And this was a huge snowstorm. What do people do in a snowstorm? They have a snowball fight. And I haven't heard anything indicative of the 911 call that an actual crime was taking place. Do not put yourself in a position to escalate or put yourself in jeopardy when it's not necessary. And I've worked events with UNC campus when they have celebrations, when they win the national championship or whatever, and you're talking about as many as 100,000 people with maybe 400 or 500 officers. How many times 100,000 going to 400 or 500? As many as it wants if they ever decide to.
And a lot of them have been drinking.
So exactly,
a lot.
Exactly. So I have been in those situations, and we have been tactically trained and taught. You stay on the outskirts,
yes,
and you observe.
Yes.
If you see something that requires law enforcement attention, whether you need to escort EMS in to get someone who is injured, or you have a fight, or something pops off, you don't go in until you get your numbers to be able to go in and have contact to deal with the issue and cover to manage the crowd around you. That's what you do. This wasn't that. Ty, what you got?
I'm sorry, man, but I just feel like a level of intelligence is needed at the point of contact. If someone says, Van 1, Van 2, Van 3, please respond to Washington Square Park, be advised, this is a sanctioned event, perimeter only. Let's be judged by what happens with a sanctioned event. We were there for observation purposes only. Unfortunately, someone's upset about it, but it's a sanctioned event. It's a 2-hour event. Please stand by on perimeter. If you need more assistance, let us know. Am I crazy, Derek? Does that make sense, Donald Derek? That solves all the problems. They know not to get out of their van. Stay in your van. They're going to be throwing snowballs. You know why? It's a sanctioned snowball fight. They're going to be throwing snowballs. Just sit there and watch them.
I don't know if y'all can see this. I'm going to send it in the chat. But one person has been arrested in connection with the snowball fight that resulted in 2 officers being pelted in Washington Square Park. One person's been arrested. So
for 3
I'll send it.
They're looking for 3 more. What were the injuries to the officers is my question.
I don't know.
Okay. I see your hand, Jim, and then we're going to go to Don.
Yeah, does anybody find out what the call was? Did we get to that point, or it's still an unknown? Like what came over the radio to those responding cops?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I think we'd all agree that whatever came over that radio is important for our conversation, because we're going, back and forth on their response. So maybe we could find that out and throw it out for next week.
To answer your question, the other question, I think it was Will. I think the injuries were cuts and abrasions from the ice. You laugh, but you get hit with ice being thrown. It's no joke.
It's not funny at all.
No, I don't see anything funny in it at all.
I've been there.
I'm not laughing. But again, we are the professionals. I'm not putting myself in that situation. Point blank period. So it's not about being funny at all. And
I wasn't talking about that, Will, but I was just answering a question. But I said I don't see anything funny in it. However, I will say this: we're kind of jumping the gun. We don't know what the call was. We don't know why they sent 3 vans.
The call,
but it had to be.
Was they were responding to a 911 call about a disorderly group.
A sanctioned disorderly group.
Well, we don't know if the disorderly group was part of the snowball fight or a separate entity. Right. So once again, we're still making assumptions. Just like you have a protest and then you have a subgroup that are looting. It's 2 different groups, but it makes the protesters look bad. So it could have been a small group that made the snowball fighters look bad. But my question, and I don't know if anybody knows.
I still got my hand up. I'm not gonna be skipped this time. I got my hand. I still got my hand up.
Does anybody know who sanctioned it?
No. Don't know. You're right. There's a lot of pieces. That's why I asked for context, Don. Let's get the hands.
Yeah, I'm just like, it was sanctioned. The dispatcher definitely dropped the ball.
Hell yeah.
Because the dispatcher is supposed to get as much information as they know about, especially if they know there's a sanctioned snowball fight at this location I'm going to send police officers to. All right. So I got a problem. And listen, and let me just put this out front. I am not in agreement, no matter how this was, sanctioned, unsanctioned, throwing snowballs at police officers.
At cops. Ever.
I'm just
No.
not. I'm not with that program at all. Because if I was there, somebody been in some handcuffs.
Somebody go to jail.
Yeah. Talk to me later on, because if I got hit with your snowball, listen, we're going inside with this one. You know, but my point still is that somebody dropped the ball. You got an area that's as big as Washington Square Park.
It's huge.
That you have a sanctioned snowball fight, which I don't know who sanctioned it or how did they get a permit. I don't know what happened. But for it to be known as a sanctioned snowball fight, somebody should have said, listen, be aware, take notice that this is a sanctioned event. They have permission to do what they're doing, and be careful about how you handle the situation. And another disorderly group up in there, well, just look for that disorderly group.
Give a story.
No, well, look for them from the outside.
Right.
You don't have to go in there where these guys are actively throwing snowballs to find someone who may be having a fight over here. Well, I'll find out over here. But I understand. I understand what you guys are feeling. But I'm both ways though. Like I still can't stand to see those snowballs hit those police officers.
That's
I
crazy.
still can't stand, and that right there annoys me to no end.
That's crazy.
To see that. But the heck you doing there? That's like going to Brownie Park in Hempstead where they having a daggone Heights party, and you're gonna go right up in the middle of the party because somebody got a beer. Get out of there.
Nah, bro. We ain't
Stay
doing
up on the
that.
outside and leave those people alone.
Let him drink his beer.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that.
Trying to catch Rich's hand. I mean, since we not,
It's 433.
Well, I mean, we all we were doing is just continuation.
That's
so you
right.
know,
That's right.
Rich,
That's right.
go ahead with it.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, I know I've been in New York a long time, and I guess things have changed. But I didn't know it was a sanctioned snowball fight to begin with. We didn't have any context prior to the video. Not for me, because I didn't know. But you know, my problem is once they went with the walk back out towards their vehicles with the tail between their leg type situation, and they're being pelted, okay, by snowball and ice balls, and it's going into the street. Now you got an unruly crowd in the street blocking their vehicles, pelting their vehicles. It becomes a different thing. That's beyond the sanctioning of the snowball fight. At that point, I mean, imagine if those guys were ICE officers, what kind of tactics they would have taken once they were getting pelted as they were going back to their vehicle and being blocked in the street. It became unruly, okay? It wasn't a snowball fight anymore. They were actually dissing the police and blocking the roadway and stopping the cars from moving, even with the sirens going, to the point where they couldn't move. They got back out of the vehicle again. So it became something else. It wasn't just a sanctioned snowball fight. It was disorderly conduct, okay, against and assault on the police with ice balls. They got injured. So, I mean, at that point, some control is going to take place. And I know it's a big 300, whatever.
Yeah,
but still,
bro.
We got to take control at that point. That's a different kind of, that's a crime that's in the street right now. Not the park, but what's happening with the people in the streets of crime.
Rich, you just used the point in comparison to if this was ICE. And one of the issues that we have is in law enforcement, what is your lowest level of force? It is presence. So once you show up, there's a chance that just your presence is going to escalate things. And we see this with ICE because people are doing all of this notification and whatnot, honking horns, blowing whistles, whatever the case may be, which takes me back to my original point. The 911 call did not delineate a specific crime. It didn't say that there were any suspects. You take a position as an officer on the outskirts because now you still have to operate in a space of officer safety before going into that crowd. What it boils down to for me is it was preventable. Now I'm with you. I don't want to see those officers get hit either. But when I see that it was preventable on their behalf, and then they wind up getting hit, that was an inevitability. I'm not in favor of it, but a better choice could have been made up front to have avoided that. And that's my point. When we talk about the responsibility of law enforcement, it's about making better choices and not getting caught up in an emotional response because we got hit with a snowball, we got insulted, whatever the case may be. So that's my point behind it.
I agree, Will.
We need to go to a good boy. I mean, your video, D.
I got it. Y'all ready? I'm always queued up. I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let's I think this happened in Massachusetts this week. I know some of you guys have seen it. Let's take a look.
An incredible act of bravery caught on camera. A man sprinting across several lanes of Interstate 93 near Boston, dodging traffic to save a driver in distress.
Si se me presenta 10,000 veces más lo hago.
Adolfo Molina is the man running alongside the blue car as it speeds in the shoulder next to the median. Molina trying to open one of the doors. He says he first noticed the driver unconscious behind the wheel.
Ahí yo me doy cuenta de que la mujer va inconsciente y mareada, chocando con la pared, con la ventana, así.
That's when he pulled over his own truck to help. The risky move, a dangerous attempt, but Molina believes his own safety was in the care of someone else's hands.
Fue como algo de Dios que me protegió en ese transcurso.
His wife Maite thinking about what could have happened.
The first thing that came to my mind was, oh my God. And then I was like, oh my God, I would have became a widow and my children.
Eventually, another driver was able to help Molina bring the car to a stop until police arrived. The 25-year-old Uber driver, originally from the Dominican Republic, honored by his local mayor and the Dominican consulate in Boston for his bravery.
Dice dominicano destacado en el exterior, el Instituto Dominicano y Dominicano en el Exterior, INDE, reconoce con orgullo a Adolfo Molina Burgos.
Molina hoping he gets the chance to reconnect with that driver. But for now, he's grateful for the outpouring of support to the now viral video, seen more than 1 million times.
Muchas gracias a todo lo que me han comentado, todo lo que me han dado un like en TikTok.
Valerie
Trump will have that guy deported in no time.
Yeah, he'll be in El Salvador next week.
Wow.
Thinking the same thing. I hope that doesn't happen.
Oh,
I really
I hope
don't.
it doesn't happen. And I was kidding, but I know if his base sees that, just the fact that the guy was speaking Spanish is going to get them riled up.
So let me ask you all this question, circling back to the last video. Now, this is real life what happened. If you are in a car and somebody's walking past your patrol car and they spit on the hood of your patrol car, what do you do?
How many people outside?
It's just you and them. He's walking with his lady. He's walking with his lady.
I'm getting out.
And huh?
What he said?
What's the crime you're investigating?
For me?
Remember that ain't no crime for disrespecting police officers.
It might be EDP. Gotta go and investigate what's.
Are we in 1997 or 2026?
We will have a conversation.
I think he's choking, and I'm gonna give him some assistance.
Exactly, Mark. His eyes are rolling
What I'm
back.
doing.
Listen,
He's obviously
we
choking.
gotta go.
All right, Don, I surrender it back to you, Don.
Yeah, our time went a little bit long. Thank you so much, D, for what you do with technology. Thank you, Will, for hosting us. But thank you guys, all of you, for your participation, your input. Cheech told you up front, we don't always agree. And we're not mad about disagreeing. At least I'm not. Because some of this stuff I don't agree with. And some of the stuff I do agree with. And we all have different personalities. But I pray that we said something that's going to help you out if you have to deal with the same situation. Just make sure you think about what you're doing. Don't always try to be the superhero with 300 people outside throwing snowballs and trying to get up in the middle and stopping 300 people for doing something that they have permission to do.
Heroes of sandwich, bro.
All right, so be very careful with that. And we're gonna go off the air. Thank you so much. Sorry for the technicalities today. That's my fault. I upgraded my phone, updated my software on my phone, and disconnected everything and didn't save some of these. Well, I got the passwords, but it did a second authentication. I'm just going crazy. Y'all help me out. Pray for me. We'll be all right. Next week we'll have everything together.
God bless y'all.
It'll be back on next week. God bless you. God keep you. Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you for allowing us to come together. We thank you to God for the birthdays that are coming on tomorrow. Maya Williams, Reverend Larry Camp. We pray to God you will continue to bless them and their families. We thank you to God for Cree's birthday on the 24th. We thank you to God for Mark's anniversary on the 22nd. And now, God, we pray that you will watch over us as we go off the air, as we continue to live our lives. Be with us and protect us and our families from all hurt, harm, and danger. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Stop recording.